What are some good Christian books you could read?
There are thousands of Christian books out there, and half of them suck. But there are still hundreds of good Christian books, so where do you start? I was discipled by this pastor who made me read a book a week. So I've read over 400 Christian books. Now that's not a lot compared to some of the big readers out there. But I've read books from the early church fathers of the 2nd century to books today that haven't even been published. Yeah, publishers send me books to review before they get published, and you can read some of my reviews in the link below. A good leader is a good reader. And the day you stop learning is the day you stop teaching. So in addition to the Bible, you should read good Christian books. Now, this isn't the list of the 10 best Christian books that are out there, but the 10 essential books you should start off with so you don't waste your time with stupid books like this one. Number 1, the first book, the most well-rounded book. The book that I would give out to any new Christian along with the Bible. Let the Nations Be Glad by John Piper. Now, John Piper writes a lot of books, but I'd say a lot of his books are pretty similar. If you want the summary of his teachings, his teachings in a nutshell, Let the Nations Be Glad. It's solidly biblical. It covers the most important aspects of faith like prayer, missions, the purpose of life, the purpose of God. Definitely a must-have in your library. Number 2. Let's cover apologetics. There's lots of books out there. Now you could go with the classics like C.S. Lewis. I've read The Problem of Pain, I've read Mere Christianity, but they're a bit long, okay? And I think the simplest and yet most exhaustive is Josh McDowell's Answers. It's better and more to the point than, say, The Case for Faith. Now if you really want to get into it, I would suggest getting Josh McDowell's Evidence That Demands a Verdict, Volume 1. Now Volume 2 is a lot more, it's grad school level. It's a lot more technical. It covers JDP, form criticism, very technical, not for everyone. Or you could get his compendium, A Ready Defense. Now I know this is evidentialism. I'm a big fan of presuppositional apologetics and Van Tillian apologetics, but to start off, I think evidentialism is the way to go. And better than Lee Strobel or Ravi Zacharias, the man to start off with is Josh McDowell. Number 3. Biography. Christian biographies really challenge you to up your game. My favorite, In the Shadow of the Almighty, the story of Jim Elliot. Other great biographies include The Life and Diary of David Brainerd or The Spiritual Secret of Hudson Taylor. That book really made me want to be a missionary. I also liked Billy Graham's Just As I Am. Number 4. Next, you gotta have a Christian living book, which makes up the majority of Christian books out there. But I'd go with the classic, The Pursuit of God. A.W. Tozer has lots of other great books too. Number 5. You gotta have a short theology book. Although J.I. Packer's Knowing God is a classic, my vote is for Essential Truths of the Christian Faith. It's more exhaustive, yet every chapter is just a couple of pages. It covers every topic in Christian theology. Now if you really want to get into theology, get a systematics book. You could go for the classics like Burkhoff or even Charles Hodge, or you could go more contemporary like my professor Michael Horton's book or my professor John Frame's book. But my favorite is Wayne Grudem. But the essential is you gotta get a short one. Start with a short essentials book. Oh my gosh, there are so many books on prayer and half of them suck and many of them say the same things. But I think you should read a book that inspires you to pray, not just tells you what prayer is. E.M. Bounds is the best when it comes to prayer. Just read any of his books. Everybody who reads books on prayer knows that E.M. Bounds is the best. Too bad this book is out of print, but there's this huge collection of E.M. Bounds that you can also buy. But his best book, I'd say, is Power Through Prayer. Yeah, much better than books written by like Bomardians. Get a book that makes you passionate for God. My selection, Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Or get crazy for God in Irresistible Revolution by Shane Claiborne. Or the classic Pursuit of Holiness by Jerry Bridges. His sequel, Pursuit of Godliness, not so good. Or you could read, if you're more sensitive, then read books by Max Lucado, he's good. Or you could read one of the Bible character biographies by Pastor Chuck Swindoll. But yeah, Cost of Discipleship. Awesome. No, I'm not putting any book from the category of Christian fiction. Don't waste your time. Now, there are a few good writers, but if you have time for entertainment, then read the classics like War and Peace, Grapes of Wrath, Great Expectations, Pride and Prejudice. Now, if you must read Christian fiction, go with C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters or Chronicles of Narnia, or John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. But number 8, let me put down How to Read the Bible for All It's Worth. It's a basic hermeneutics book. It'll really help you get the most out of the Bible that you're reading. Spiritual Leadership by Oswald Sanders. This is an updated classic. It's great for anybody who's serving at church, which should be everybody, right? I mean, John Maxwell might be great for getting quotes, but if you want a true book on leadership, spiritual leadership, this is the way to go. Buy one for yourself and get one for a friend. Number 10. I could only pick one more book. Notice I didn't pick a devotional. Pet peeve, there's a devotional being published every month, probably because it's the easiest to write. But if you want a devotional, you can't beat the classic. My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. But don't waste your time on devotionals. Just read the Bible, that should be your devotional. You don't need no devotional. But number 10, what should I choose? One more book that makes you passionate for God? I mean, my favorite author is Erwin McManus. But my vote for number 10 is Richard Foster's Celebration of Discipline. You gotta know the spiritual disciplines like quiet times, meditation, fasting, prayer, the essentials, right? I mean, Richard Foster is the authority on the devotional life. So if you want a devotional, get a real book on learning to do it yourself. Now, there are so many more good categories of Christian books, but I wanted to funnel it down to the essentials. I mean, I could have gone over the best one-volume commentary, the best charismatic book, the best or the most essential medieval book or ancient book or Puritan classic, but let's stick to the essentials first and then move on from there. But honorable mentions, Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, Putting Amazing Back into Grace by Michael Horton, or Philip Yancey's The Jesus I Never Knew. I mean, the list goes on, and hopefully you have your own list after reading all these great Christian books. I know I left out a lot of books. Do you have a personal favorite that you feel should be an essential that I missed? I'll give you my personal opinion. But until next time, don't forget to subscribe.